I'm so curious what you're dressed as. A green library book.
People are gonna see some belly buttons today.
Are you Nora as a rock star?
Well, that'd be fun.
Polar bear.
You gotta start, I mean, come on, let's get some good guesses out there. What's your number one thought?
Well, not a rock star now because you said that was a good idea.
Well, so was the polar bear, though.
Polar bear's a fabulous idea.
Good
Olympic
idea.
swimmer.
Ooh, you might see my belly button with that one.
So just trying to figure. Well, I mean,
The belly
trying to
button is
think
incidental.
through swimming pool. Then what is she? The cat. Are you Voltaire? All right. Welcome to Boozy Bibliophiles. I'm Kenzie.
And I'm Shelby.
You're
a bear. Today we're talking about Midnight Library.
All right, a little recap on Midnight Library. It is.
Is my polar bear throwing you off?
Yes, it is. I like the cheekies.
Yeah.
All right. Midnight Library. 35-year-old Nora Seed is lost, living in her hometown in England, feeling unaccomplished and unneeded. In its deep depression, she overdoses. Nora wakes to find herself in the Midnight Library, where every possible version of life is up for grabs. With her childhood mentor, Mrs. Elm, as a guide, she has the opportunity to experience all her what-if moments, and now must decide which, if any, life is right for her before her clock runs out.
Excellent.
It was a book.
It was a
What
book.
did you make for our drink?
For my drink today, I went with the theme of my outfit and made a polar bear. The polar bear is going to be completely random for people that don't know the book. Basically, polar bear is a huge turning point in the book where basically Nora decides to live. She realizes she doesn't want to die anymore as she's facing down this giant polar bear. So, polar bear, and it's like a shot but also a drink that kind of tastes like a Yorkshire, the little York patties. So it's got vodka, it's got creme, I put creme de coca, and Rumplemint's.
Ooh.
I know. For those Rumplemint fans out there, this is the drink for you. Chilled, refreshing. Polar bear. Ken's, what kind of treat did you start getting into for us?
Well, the treat that I made, there's a couple stories that go along with this. They're trying to find something that went along with the book. I came up with the idea of doing a truffle because a truffle is a small little bite-sized piece of something that you can try, like she was going through and trying bite-sized pieces of her life should she go different ways. And you can do it in a variety of different flavors. Midnight Library kind of has a little bit of a darker undertone, so I went to make a dark chocolate truffle, which leads me to the second part of my mishap. Well, I guess, okay, the first part of my mishaps is my truffles, they don't look very pretty, but they taste great. So for a first try, I will give myself a solid C. But the second part of my story is I put these in here to prepare for tonight to come back to my dog who ate them, all but two. So I will try and superimpose my chocolate truffles in here. I told you, this is just a whole story. I was so excited about my truffle idea because there's so many different flavors that you can do in truffle. Like they're just little bites.
It's a very like Forrest Gump thing. Life is like a box of truffles.
Like a box of truffles. That would have been a good one too. So that's essentially what this is. It's melted chocolate with some heavy cream and a little bit of butter, and then you mold it into a ball. So it's like a ganache. I mold it into a ball, and then I rolled it in cocoa powder, and then I did have a little sprinkle of salt on there to just add some more to it. There were some other flavors I was going to try, like there's a milk cereal truffle, and there's all sorts of different truffles.
Can I just say it's the sprinkle of salt. You probably lost the plot there. Vesta went straight for him.
Exactly. Thank goodness she's got a stomach of steel since she ate all the dark chocolate. It was just a day. I tell you. It was a good day, but it was just added to it. But anyways, a little dark chocolate truffle for the Midnight Library.
Midnight Library. What good pairings, guys. I mean, look at that. Truffles and polar bears. That was kind of a mess, but oh well. Oh my god.
Well, I'll show you the picture. There's a whole plate full of them.
Vesta, is her tummy okay?
A stomach of steel, she'll have to be fine.
I am so sweaty right now.
I'm
so
sure
sweaty.
you are.
Isn't that nice? I got
I
this.
know, I like it.
Do you
Where'd
remember
you?
this?
I was gonna say that looks kind of familiar. Was that the dog?
No, it was mom's teddy beanie baby.
That's right. She was a Beanie Baby one year. Oh,
Baby, yeah, so there was a
cute.
red bow and a TY tag.
Oh, you're pulling out all the stops. I like it. No
Yo,
question.
yo, yo, yo.
Is the polar bear like a legit drink?
Yeah, legit drink.
Like, well, I mean, obviously it's a legit drink. It's like it's there, but
Yeah.
like, I didn't.
I would say that it's more to do as a shot because this is just legitimately 3 shots of alcohol. Rumplemints is 100 proof.
I Fred.
Another movie.
No, hopefully not. She's jacked up on Mountain Dew right now.
Did she get into the truffles?
No, I did give them each a truffle. They're. I think I didn't need to do quite as dark of a chocolate as I did.
They're very like deep.
They're bitter. They're bitter. But for a first try,
Yeah.
I'm gonna try the milk cereal ones tomorrow.
Is it
Yes,
weird that
rumplemints.
with truffles, I feel like I think immediately of like the truffle like oil.
Yes, I think of truffle oil, but yeah, like that's what Mitch was like. You're making what? And I was like, truffles, like truffles. Go and get a truffle. Yeah, Rumplemints is a strong, probably is a very powerful taste in that drink.
You know, it's interesting because Rumplemints is minty, obviously, and then with the creme de cacao, so it's a chocolate liqueur. I did a white chocolate liqueur or whatever, and then the vodka. It literally looks like just water, doesn't it?
It does. It does.
Yeah,
It's a very fancy ice
and
cube.
then and the flanco, and then a nice little mint leaf. But it literally takes like a peppermint patty. It's chocolate or a thin mint.
Thin mint. A thin
Yeah,
mint in the
but I
drink.
think that I think it'd be better as a shot. Just like
Quick
knock
one.
that guy back. As a drink, this is a lot.
It's a sipper.
It's a zipper.
It's a sipper.
But you want to know what I was going to do?
Character dress up wise,
No,
or
no, no,
drink
no, no,
up.
for drinks.
Okay, yes.
Which
What
I
was your?
could, but so what I was thinking of doing instead of a cocktail, I was gonna go into how this story is Nora jumping from life to life, trying to find the happy version of herself and trying to like fit herself into these other molds. And I've found that, all these cocktails aren't me. My life doesn't fit this, but what is me is red wine. And so I was gonna bring my favorite red wine.
That'd be a good one too.
We're overheating in this bitch. Polar bears aren't supposed. The ice caps are melting. This polar bear's getting hot. Not only is this book a PSA, the suicide lookout. You go, whoa, this is careful. Also, ice caps are melting. Your polar bears are sweating. Look out.
Watch out.
Watch out. No,
So, Shell, what was your rating for the book?
I'd give it a solid 4.5. Solid 4.5 just because yeah. I mean, I don't have a ton of critiques on the book. Solid 4.5, maybe 4.75 even. Yeah. How about you, Ken?
Rated a 5 star
Mhm.
because it was good. It was one that you can't put down. This again was my like second read, and even the second time, like, well, it had been I want to say like 2 years since I'd read it.
Yeah.
If I didn't have to work, I would have my 1 week of
Blasted through.
I would have blasted through it.
Yeah.
Because it's one that you can read in one sitting. You want to know what's happening. You want to see the next life that she picks.
Absolutely. It's interesting because I was thinking, I'm like, this book kind of reminds me of Dark Matter, and I was going to say it's the more fun version of Dark Matter, but like it literally centers around a woman taking her life. Like,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's a fun journey, philosophical way of looking at, how would you replay your regrets or like what would you do different?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and it's funny because they do talk about. I'm going to totally butcher his name. Schrodinger. Again, so which is very similar. I mean, it's the same guy they talk about and what the whole basis of dark matter is on. But this one too, I dare to say it is lighter, where that one has a lot of violently taking somebody else's life, like not somebody else's life,
Yeah.
but like
It's
this was
yeah.
not as like dark in that sense of it.
Yeah. It's interesting because this I hazard to count this as sci-fi. This is more fiction in my mind, where that is sci-fi because it's a man that's purposely using the science to, enter these other quantum realms, essentially.
Yes.
Whereas this one, it is very much more of a philosophical book
Yeah.
in that sense, and it's what I like had a hard time remembering was like the clock is still midnight in the library. So
Hmm.
every time she's picking up a book, it's starting over at the exact time that her life ended,
Yeah.
essentially. And so it's like, oh, because I'm like, oh my God, so much time has passed, and then I think of her friend. Is it Hugh? What's his name?
Yeah, Hugh. The one, Hugo.
Hugo. Thank you.
I turned
Who's
the page.
another jump? What do they call them? Jumpers?
Yes. Sliders.
Sliders. I'm messing up this book left and right. I'm so sorry, Matt Haig.
Well, no, I literally just finished it last night, and I was like, it's so good, but there's little pieces. But yeah, like
Yeah.
Hugo. Well, and that was the interesting thing because I literally just opened to the page with Hugo. Is the concept that not everybody's in between is the same. Hers is a library because that was where her mentor was. Her mentor was her librarian, and his was a video store.
Store, and the person that was like, it's I find it interesting that each of them has a guide there, and it
Mm-hmm.
makes sense that the hers is a library and it's the librarian, but his is a video store that his uncle is there, but his uncle had nothing to do with video stores, right?
Yeah, his was more just because it was a big person and like a impactful person in
Yeah,
this. Right.
exactly, somebody who's impactful. Oh, I mean, are you ready to get emotional really quick?
Sure.
I mean, not super emotional. It's just me being a hospice nurse. And this is something that I've used since when I was an oncology nurse, because I think I learned it from an old nurse herself. But a lot of the times when people are passing, they become unresponsive to the world. They can still hear us, but they're unresponsive for a period of time before they pass. And some people in that phase, they pass within minutes, hours, days. Other people, it's a long time that they're unresponsive. And a lot of the times I have families going, why are they still, like, what are they hanging on for? And honestly, like, I don't have a reason. Like, physically, they should not be alive still. And so, what I've always said is, I imagine that they are kind of outside of their body and getting to explore the world, all the places that they loved and have great memories, and all the places that they wanted to go. And some people that journey takes a little bit longer, and other people it's a matter of days. Like they didn't need to spend as much time reliving those things. And that's what I like to imagine that people are doing. And this book just made me just it it's very similar. It's
Yeah.
a similar take on that.
Yeah, different because it's not lives that she has directly experienced, but it's yeah, that same idea is going back and reliving those like impactful moments and reliving those like those happy moments.
Yeah, exactly. It's so I'm sorry, on that same thread of thought, as far as like work goes, the very end also felt very close to me at work with her last life, the near perfect life.
Mhm.
She is there in the garden with her husband and daughter. And then Molly asked if she could get a watering can out, and Ash explained that it has been raining a lot recently and wasn't necessary because the sky had been looking after the flowers. They'll be okay. They're looked after. The flowers have water. And the words echoed in Nora's mind. They'll be okay. They're looked after. And it's so interesting because that's another thing that we tell people to say to their loved ones right at the end. A lot of people hang on, and again, we don't know why, but a lot of the times people need to hear that reassurance from their loved ones. We're going to be okay. We're fine. Like, it's okay for you to pass. They're going to be okay. And it's just like the amount of times that I've seen people let go right after hearing that from their loved ones. It's like Matt Haig knew something, you know?
Did some serious research because yeah, I definitely cried at that, and I like went back and reread it, and I was like, they're gonna be okay. Like, because
Yeah.
I'm going to the book, she knew at that point, she knew that she was going to be leaving that life, even though she didn't want to, and so she to see them one more time and was like, hey, they're gonna be okay. Like the other me in this other universe or whatever will be there taking care of them.
Yeah. Why do you think, kind of like when Nora's so upset at the end, where she's like, you told me that if I found the one that I wanted, that it was, and it was happening. She was forgetting and things were blending in. Was it just, did she just feel like it just didn't quite fit? Is that why you think?
That's kind of what I was thinking is she kept feeling like because throughout it she'd like still didn't feel like she would forget where the car keys were or like little things like that or she still felt like she was jumping into somebody else's shoes as much as she loved that life and as much as it was everything. I mean, literally like the dream life.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, but that was a tough one, and I feel like that's why it's so heartbreaking. Spoilers, that like you're so connected to it, even though you get just like a very short glimpse of that life, but you get so connected to it, and you feel her pain. And she's like, "But that's what I wanted. Like that was the one."
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I feel like Miss Elm says something.
Yeah. Where, or was it her, like, as far as like, I could tell, like, it didn't quite fit.
Yeah, there was things that like didn't quite match up. I did like at the end the whole like where she was having to like in order to get out of the library and back to her normal life, she was having to like write her story. And I like how she started, well, Nora wanted to live, and I thought this was so interesting how it said want is an interesting word. It means lack. And so realizing that she's not lacking anything. So going through and rewriting and writing it until she's finally like, I am alive, writing this in the present. So that, I mean, that was
Yeah.
sidebar, but I liked that.
I loved that too. Yeah. And then especially the, I love in the book how it is bolded. I am alive.
Mm-hmm.
It's so cool. Okay, speaking of that, listening to Hugo, he is saying, I'm somewhere in a hospital dying of an aneurysm, is what he said.
Mm-hmm.
And he has been in that state for so long, the over
Yeah.
300 lives. And it makes me, I was like, oh my God, like, how is he still alive? But then I remembered, oh, they're still going back and reliving that same minute or that same time. Like, it's not like they're losing time.
No, time is constantly repeating. I mean, you might live in one life for 3 weeks or a couple months, but then you go back to the video store or the
Yeah.
library and it's like you're back to Tuesday.
And you're back to being 30 years old or whatever.
It's Groundhog's Day. Like that's
Yeah.
it's crazy. Yeah. What of the lives that she lived, which was the one that you were the most intrigued by?
So I kind of like intrigued by is an interesting question. I feel like I wanted more of the life where she was exploring a glaciologist
I did not know
because
that was a thing.
what's up?
I said I did not know that was a thing. A
Yeah.
glaciologist.
Just studying the glaciers that are melting and everything. But it just like it felt like such a prominent part of her life and something that she didn't get to really explore but had a passion for. Unlike swimming, where she realized it was not her passion and everything else that was other people's passions, it was the one thing that she kind of wanted for herself.
Mm-hmm.
And to, I don't know, part of me was like, I liked that it was that life that she had the moment where she realized, I don't want to die. But I also wanted her to explore what that would have been like to chase something for herself more, you know?
Yeah, I say that's so true because all these other things like music, she was good at, but she was kind of doing it because her brother and his friend were into it, and then there was the swimming, and that was her dad's push, and then
Mhm.
the glaciology was put into her mind by Miss Elm, like it was brought to her attention, but that was one that she hadn't ever in her root life, as they called it.
Yeah.
She never got to explore that. Where the other ones, she kind of got a little bit of a taste of it. Clearly, not to the extent that the bigger ones, but
Yeah, exactly. What about you? Which life did you like and wanted more of?
oh, I found it interesting, and maybe not necessarily this life, but when she started not going off the rails, but a little bit like the winery one. Not necessarily that life, but like that iteration of her exploring things because originally it was just like those immediate regrets,
Yeah.
we should say. So she was picking her books based off of the book of regrets essentially and
Mhm.
what were her biggest life regrets and trying to go back and see what it would be.
Yeah.
And she'd kind of gone through those big ones and then the winery, and I think there might have been another one before that was kind of a new one where it was just like, well, what if my life was this instead of I regretted this? So it was kind of a different train of thought. And I guess that was That one
Interesting.
was right after the polar bear one, I think.
I think right after the polar bear one, then she kind of, yeah, there's like it's like a montage of so many different ones where they talk about how many times she's run into Hugo, and one that they're married, and like, they have all, it's interesting that little friendship that they form.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that she might have met him before, but they actually meet on the same plane,
Yes.
the same, yeah, because, yeah,
Like he's also sliding into it, or
yeah.
yeah.
Which I'm like, of all the, the infinite possibilities, how is it possible? This is not a.
Dude, I went down a rabbit hole for a little bit.
Did
I
you go
looked
on
at
quantum physics?
I did, and my brain just went. I was like, I'm gonna look up the Schrodinger, and so I started looking up into him, and he started this whole the cat theory was started with him and Einstein, and it was just like a thought. It's a thought theory. It's just like
Yeah.
their brains just going, and I'm like, does your I don't know.
Yeah. The idea of Schrodinger, that there's a cat in a box, and there's a period of time that the cat is both alive and not alive. And until you open that box, you don't know for sure. But
There
in
was
that
an,
interim,
there was another piece of it. There was like an atomic piece of it where like this cat is in there with this like not an atomic bomb, but like
mhm,
a radioactive something, and you don't like it's unstable, and you don't know.
mhm.
Mind.
It
Yeah.
is for minds that are not mine. 'Tis not the way my mind works.
No, no. It does remind me though. I had some kids run up to me at recess the other day and I can't remember exactly the questions they were saying, but there was essentially like, if a tree falls in the woods and nobody's there, does it make a noise? They kept
Hmm.
asking questions like that, and I was like, where did your little brain get all these like, what
Does the
about
Pope
this? What about this?
does the Pope shit in the woods?
That was literally what came to mind, but I was like, I can't say that to a second grader.
Please do. Please do.
I don't think they would let me work anymore.
Probably not.
Like I said, I think that was kind of like where it was interesting, where like past the polar bear, she decided to live and she was exploring these, okay, not regrets, but like, hey, there was this wine that looked really interesting. What if I decided to do that? Like, yeah, the concept of it is just crazy, or just even like the little regrets, or like I should have said yes to Ash when he asked me to coffee. Or
That's one thing that I remember the first time I read. I was like I think I had been reading a lot of romance at the time or something. But I mean, everyone wants a happy ending, of course.
yeah,
But in my brain, I was like, okay, she's going to go back to her root life. She's going to go find Ash, ask him out because she knows that was the happiest. And the thing that I love about this book now is that it ends in a spot that could possibly happen.
hmm
But that's not the point of this story. And
no,
that's why it doesn't end with that. And I love that so much,
I
you
know.
know?
I am definitely a hopeless romantic, so I think that kind of pulls me through any of the books. But yes, I did like that the ending. It was
Hmm.
she was in love with herself, and she was in love with the possibilities of what she could
Hmm.
be. I mean, she recognized that her life was hard, but then I think so much of it, like so many of the things that led to her overdosing.
Hmm.
Her brother's not talking to her. Izzy, her friend in Australia, is not texting her back. These
Hmm.
little things that when you're so caught up in the moment, you can forget that other people have things going on, and it might not be that they're mad at you. It might just
Yeah.
be like it's something completely unrelated to you. It's the whole
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I kind of, as the book progressed on, and especially this is when it hit me, was when she's in, I think it might be in that final life, the perfect life, when the kid that she tutored on the piano,
yeah.
when she sees him getting arrested, and she's like, this is a good kid. And then she's realizing that because she never offered these piano lessons, this kid never got that opportunity and found this, you know, and it was that moment that she kind of pieced together, and I felt her see, oh, these little choices that I make in life that I don't think are important somehow are affecting other people to a way that maybe they don't even understand either. And
Mhm.
I feel like that was such a moment that kind of pulled her back from her depression in a way, because part of depression is this isolating feeling of you're alone in this, no one else understands. It's just the isolating, yeah, kind of like you were saying before, where you don't realize that other people, everyone's self-centered,
I say it sounds bad. I mean, maybe it doesn't sound bad to say, but you're so self-absorbed, which
Yeah.
there's probably a more positive way to
Yeah.
say that. But that's essentially, I mean, you're so into your own pain and everything that you don't realize that other people are also in pain, and that doesn't not to like diminish the
No.
pain, but recognizing that other people are also going through things, and
Yeah.
well, everyone's fighting a battle that you know nothing about.
Exactly. And so I don't know. I think I really loved watching that I mean, that's kind of what the story is. I mean, it starts with her at such a low place to the point that she's taking her own life. And then, yeah, like she's seeing how these effects, like how her life actually really does matter on a bigger scale. And she's seeing that through these choices and these regrets that were so big to her. And then, from her different parents that are alive or past and her relationship with her brother. And then I think it's, yes, I might have regrets for not making these decisions, but I see what's important now, and I'm going to make choices now to prioritize those things, you know?
Mhm.
And I love that it's the teaching the piano and having this relationship with their brother. And, it's like,
It
it's
was
just,
very. It broke my heart when I can't, was the mom when she goes back at one point and I think it was her mom that was still alive.
no, I think all of them, her mom was dead.
Or was it no? Because in her root life, her dad had recently passed,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
so it was her dad was still alive, and just like that, like she just wanted to call him and be like, "I just want to hear your voice." I mean, it was just
Yeah.
like how heartbreaking when you're already in such a state of depression to then go back and like hear these.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that would be uplifting or I.
Yeah, I think that was one of her first lives, and she didn't know he was alive in that life. And so realizing that and then calling him and having this, oh my God. And like, especially because, I mean, I feel like that one was really hard because she chose that regret specifically for her dad because
Mhm.
she quit swimming, which was what her dad wanted her to do. And so she kept with it, became an Olympian, and has a really good relationship with their dad and her brother, and her dad's alive because he realized how unhealthy he was. So and then her brother's her manager, and so he's doing really well. So the lives of the people around her are better. But was that the place that she looked in her bag and found the antidepressants? And she still was like upset. She was like, I have all of this and I'm still depressed.
I think so because I think even in that her mom was alive but not doing well.
No, I think that's the one that her mom died of drinking instead of cancer. And then the librarian mentions like there's no life that you change anything, like your mom made her own choices.
There was one quote. Gosh darn, I wrote down all the other ones, and this one I didn't write down, but I marked it. It was
Hmm.
something about like it must have been after that, like her realization that she's like, there's no way to go back or change things without like, no matter what I do, somebody is going to be hurt, which is hard.
Hmm. Yeah. Did you have any special quotes that you really, really loved?
I had a couple of them. I'm trying to figure out.
Samesies. I
I
shared my one with flowers.
I mean, I liked this one. What was this? This was after going back and trying. Oh, when she tried to go back and save Voltaire. So the cat dying was kind of like the nail. Sounds really nail in the coffin. Probably a better term for that.
Rough
Uh,
one.
yeah, that was a real bad. That was a bad choice. The cat dying
The
was
final.
the last straw. Yes, the cat dying was the last straw.
Very done.
And so that's she goes back and just tries to find out different ways that she can try and save him, and she realizes no matter what life she can't, and that really the root life was the best life that he could have had.
Yeah.
So it was like this. So you see sometimes regrets aren't based on fact at all. Sometimes regrets are just, and it says she searched for the appropriate term and found it, a load of bullshit, which is it's like yes, that's a
That
good.
is true. Yeah. That's like, why do good people get bad diseases? Sometimes it's just a load of bullshit. It's not anything that anyone can do. One of my favorite little quotes: never underestimate the big importance of small things.
Oh, what page is that on?
86.
What is early?
No.
Yeah.
This is
I mean, that's kind of the whole. story of the whole book.
Mm-hmm.
Is never underestimating the small things. I mean, that I feel like we were saying, that was kind of the she was when she was in the perfect life, she was starting to like lose that solid ground after she went and saw that Mrs. Elm had just died, and then she immediately after that finds the little boy that she had piano like that small choice of, like we said,
Yeah.
tutoring him in piano made all the difference.
Exactly. It was super interesting because I kind of enjoyed that she kept going back to the library, and yeah, it's great that she has this guide that she can kind of talk through, like, well, I had this life and that didn't work out, and then this. And so when she's talking about page 116, go to page 116, please. Wait, which one of us is the teacher? They're
Can't
talking.
find it. It's raining. I gotta go outside.
Your right is raining?
No, if it rains, they all have to go to the bathroom.
Why?
Because it doesn't rain very often here.
My God, it's the exact opposite of here.
Uh-huh. I know. It's ridiculous. All right.
California kids are weird.
Yes.
Okay, so oh yeah. So this is all about, they were talking about her mom. The library is about your decision. There's no choice you could have made that led to her being alive beyond yesterday. So because her mom. But anyway, I love that. This is about your decisions. But anyways, then it keeps going. And she goes, "What was good about the last life?" And Nora's swimming. I liked swimming. I don't know. I don't think I was happy in that life. I don't know if I am truly happy in any life. And then I love that, this Miss Elm has this commentary with her and is asking the right question. I'm like, this is the perfect therapist.
She's so good. I know.
Is happiness the aim? Is that the aim? Is that why you're going, from life to life, bouncing around? I don't know. I suppose I want my life to mean something. I want to do something good.
Yeah.
And I think it's asking the right questions of like, what do you want out of life? Is it happiness? And what are you doing to pursue that? And then, I want my life to mean something. I want to do something good. And, do you feel like in the perfect life that she had like kind of reached that spot? Doing
That
something good?
happiness that she had done good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, it was in comparison to her rock star life and her Olympian life and the glaciologist life. It was a small life, but it was pursuing, I mean, and everybody's view of happiness is different, but it was the small family life where she had a strong career and had her children and her dog and,
Yeah. I loved how in that life, she's perfected the art of jumping into the middle of this life. The first thing you do is you check your socials, you Google yourself. And then it's so interesting because then she also is looking for antidepressants. She's like, how happy am I in this life? And it's interesting that that is a goal for her. That's something she's looking for. But then also it's when she's digging into her own research, isn't she talking to, it's either Molly or the dog. And she's like, this is really cool. Like, look at me go. Like, yeah.
I know. I say that was the interesting thing, is to like think back on those decisions. I mean, she liked swimming, she quit, but if she hadn't quit, she would have been an Olympic swimmer. Like thinking about your own life and those little things, like, man, like just again, the whole premise of the book is like your potential, and that's part of like going back is there's so much potential that she knew there was so much potential she had, and she could
Mhm.
do those things if she put her mind to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which
Wow.
actually brings me to a book that one of my nonfiction books that I'm reading this month is called Hidden Potential, oddly enough. And it's all about like, yeah, just essentially putting your mind to it. And it's crazy. It's crazy.
Wow. So my one weird question is, what kind of people should or shouldn't read this? Do you like, I mean, so for mom, I keep thinking like, would I recommend it to mom? Because she doesn't really do sci-fi. I think it's too sci-fi.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. It's
Dad
so
might enjoy
interesting because
it.
I don't see it like, again, as we compare it to Dark Matter,
Mm-hmm. You okay? Sneeze? Hiccup?
all of the above.
Charades?
As I think about it in comparison, I have the hiccups now. In comparison to
Here,
like
take some of this.
Dark Matter, cheers.
Put some hair on your chest.
Perfect. In comparison to Dark Matter is so much more sci-fi. I think because of the, like you said, like the train of thought, like I'm going to,
Mm-hmm.
where this is that in between. It's,
Instead of,
I don't see it as sci-fi, but it definitely is I mean, it's definitely fantasy, but it's not, there's no fairies in it.
there's no fairies in it.
There's no
No,
fairies.
I mean, it's fiction, it's made up. And it's based off, I mean, there's nothing, I don't want to say there's nothing truly magical about it. It's just a philosophical way of looking at the end of life, if you ask me.
It is a thought theory.
Thought theory, there we go.
Thought theory. Yeah, I just don't know. I would like to think mom would read it. I think that she would enjoy it if she gave it a shot, but I don't. Yeah, I think the lack of. I'm trying to think, is there anybody else who would you recommend it to?
I think that it's a good book for anyone. You have to enter into it in a decent place, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's not a super happy book, but
We've got a track going
I know.
with not.
Don't worry, we've got dark, what's the one? The smut one coming up. Are you sure you want to do that one?
Yeah, why not?
All right.
It's not. It's a. Yeah,
It's it's
it's
a
a
thought
heavy book.
it's a heavy light book. It's a thought-provoking book that kind of lets you question your life choices. And the thing about it, though, that I think makes it so light is the quick pacedness of it. It's
Mm-hmm.
easy to follow. It's easy to understand. And you're jumping so fast, and it's
Yeah, again, the pacing's quick, and it feels appropriate for the level that it is, because I think of other books that cover, I think we've talked about it, similar topics, and the characters in the book recover from it much too quickly. Yeah, yep. Where this one, she's fully like
Mhm.
diving into it and discovering and
Mhm.
going through the process of coming
Mhm.
from this dark place
Yeah.
to, and even at the end she's still not like in a super light happy place, but she's got hope.
Yeah.
The
I think that,
story of hope.
yeah, it's so interesting because at the end where she's telling the nurse, I know I'm not good, but I know I don't want to die.
Mhm.
Um, you know, and I got I'm sorry, but I gotta go from my ER experience. Like in my ER brain, I'm like, doesn't matter, girl. You did something real
Well,
scary to try to take your own life, and that earns you a straight ticket straight to involuntary commitment for a solid couple weeks.
that was kind of my thought as I was reading that at the end, as she was talking to the nurse, and just like, again, from what you've told me, I'm like, she's gonna be in the hospital for a little bit there, no matter how many ways you say like, hey, I'm better now, it doesn't. No.
New. And the thing is, let me just start on a medical standpoint. If she took as many pills and drank as much as she said she did, she ain't going to be bouncing back from that the next day and have her brother come pick her up. She's probably in the ICU getting some kind of detox. She probably killed her liver and her kidneys. Her kidneys probably first, depending on what is going on, and possibly like is in all kinds of cardiac. Anyway, I won't go into it. I am not a
It's a
you know,
story of hope.
poison specialist. It's a story of hope. Anyways, yeah, you know what I find funny is that as we're saying, like, it's not super, feel good essentially.
Yeah.
Read the very first review on the back.
Oh, but I think yours is different than mine.
Oh, is it?
Writes exquisitely from the perspective of the heart-sore outsider.
No, mine is whimsical. A feel good book guaranteed to lift your spirits.
Yes, yes, but I feel like we've been saying, and I feel like it's hard to put into words, but you have to be in the right state of mind. If you are already going through a really tough time, I don't know.
That's the thing, is this book's not necessarily condoning suicide. It's not idolizing it. It's not. I think it honestly is kind of a love letter to anyone who's sad and depressed.
I think it's a book for anyone that's looking for a enjoyable, quick, heavier but hopeful read.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I did like it when she was the Olympian and she was face. She was giving the speech and she, let's see, I'm going to find it in the actual book. And then she again goes off. And the thing is, what we consider to be the most successful route for us to take actually isn't, because too often our view of success is about some external bullshit idea of achievement, an Olympic medal, the ideal husband, a good salary. And we have all these metrics that we try and reach when you really, success isn't something you measure and life isn't a race you can win. I say it's so, he does it so well, her like journey through this, like,
Yeah.
through the depression and like coming out the other side.
Yeah. Again, I think that this librarian is the best therapist ever.
It's just, this book is therapy. It's a
Yeah,
good
she's,
book.
this is the new Nancy.
It's new Nancy.
Oh man. I think it's written very beautifully, and the fact that like Nora is not a extremely likable character. I like love how she goes into the life with where she thinks she wants to like do something with animals, and she's dating this dude and she's just like, nope. I'm glad that this other Nora likes him because it's not me.
It would be so interesting. I'm sure as you're reading it, you kind of go back and you think about things in your own life, like, had I like made this decision over that one, like, just
Yeah.
what, like,
Yeah.
how crazy to be able to like see it play out and be like, yeah, it was good that I went the way that I did. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, I think the same thing. And in my brain, I immediately was like, what if I had grown like 3 to 4 inches taller? I could have maybe made it as a rocket.
no, that was a big dream of yours.
Yeah, or a Disneyland dancer,
Disney
and that
princess.
didn't work out.
Oh no, what's the height for a Disney princess?
Yeah, I didn't want to be a Disney princess. I wanted to be a dancer. Yeah. Yeah, that would go. But here's a weird question, because I thought about this. Like, who would be your spirit guide? Who's your Mrs. Elm?
I was going to ask you the same question, and I didn't want to ask it because I don't know if I have an answer for mine. Which I
Yeah.
don't. I feel like that's so. I feel like that's kind of sad, but I can't think of like one. Or maybe it's a good thing because we were. I feel like we were surrounded by so many positive adult role models.
It's not necessarily a bad thing because if
Shout
you,
out to all the second mamas.
yeah, if you think about it, even in her life, she like was kind of surprised to see Mrs. Elm there.
Mm-hmm.
It's not somebody that she had really thought of much, but obviously had a very profound part in her life. And I think that's again, it goes to show you like the big effects that you can have on somebody's life by doing something so little. You know,
Yeah.
because then at the very end, or there's other lives where she goes and hangs out with Mrs. Elm, and she's like, "Wow, I'm so surprised to see you, but I'm very happy."
Mm-hmm.
Mrs. Elm didn't realize the effect, she had.
What would your in between be? I mean, the library just seems so.
That seems very, I mean, right? Like, library. But the thing is, I really love movies, but I wouldn't say like, a movie store or whatever. You know what's funny? Because it's a movie video store, right?
Blockbuster. It's like a blockbuster.
So many kids won't understand that.
I
Yeah.
could see that though because that was such a part of childhood. Like every Friday, going to Blockbuster, pick up the Pop Murphys. Like,
Yeah. I always wanted mom to get Jiffy Pop, and she never did.
gosh, I know they always had that right at the front, didn't they?
Yeah, and it looked so cool, and I was like, that looks awesome. Anyway, shoulda, coulda, woulda.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Do you know what yours would be?
I think a library.
Yeah. I was gonna say, if anything, I think of like, this sounds so depressing, but all of my years of working in a hospital supply room, like, the amount of time, this is like my number one joke of being an emergency or a travel nurse is I always say you have to be really good at your skills and know your shit because you're going to spend most of your time looking for stuff. Like, it is so true. Every single time, every 3 months going to a new hospital. Okay, first of all, what is the code to get into this supply room? Second of all, which door was it? And third of all, it's like, okay, you
How
find the
did
one
they
person
organize it?
you find the one person who knows where everything is, and you say, where is this? And then they could go, okay, third supply room on the left, it's going to be your fourth shelf all the way down on your right side. And you're like, okay. You literally spend all your time looking for things, and I feel like it would be kind of more of a nightmare, but this is kind of your limbo anyways. Yeah. And so I'd constantly go, oh my god, where is that, Chuck's pad, and where's that urinal?
Let's see what the urinal life is like. Let's check that one out.
I mean, well, welcome to me. Yours is a cute little bookshelf, probably with a little like.
Maybe a coffee shop. What coffee shop?
That's a cute idea.
Going back to legends and lattes in my brain too.
There you go. There you go.
No, yeah. I mean, it's hard to think of any. The movie store and the bookstore are just so, our library are just so like all these things that are the same that you can just easily grab.
Okay.
So like thinking a Nordstrom's,
There you go. Try on a different shirt.
different pair of pants. There
I
you go.
just like these shoes.
A shoe store.
Oh God, that'd be my nightmare. Well, but here's my thing is like, yeah, like all of these are big things, you know, like she's a glaciologist, she's a musician, she's a da 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 da. But why can't you have a little bit of it all? Because, you know, not any one of us is one singular thing. Yes, I'm a nurse, but that's not all I am. You know, so you can be a mom, you can be a yoga girl, you can like wine, you can like books, you can like baking.
I
It
don't know.
just
I
adds
always
to
go
the
back to like,
tapestry.
it just always makes me think of like dad all the time when he's like, well, nobody ever asked me what I want to be when I grow up. And we're like, well, dad, you've got a job. And he's like, well, I still haven't decided what I want to be when I grow up. I'm like, let's just, dad's just full of potential.
Dads are just full of potential. Maybe I'll give this to him. We'll see what he thinks.
Dad would actually probably dad would love this.
Yeah. You know what? I will give it to him. I'll take my stickers out and I'll give it to him. I see him tomorrow, so.
Yeah, no, dad would be a good one. Mitch has read it. He liked it.
Have you read any other ones?
I have not read any of his other ones, and he just had a new one come out.
I have it. Yes, hold on. Shoot. Where did I put it?
I was looking for it in this book like it was in here, which I still can't believe this one came out in 2020.
It came out in 2020?
Yeah, well, that's his dedication is to all the healthcare workers.
That's me!
That's you!
That's
It's
me!
you!
Oh my gosh! This one.
The Life Impossible. I've seen of people reading it, friends
You know
reading it on Goodreads, but I don't know if I've ever asked anybody what they thought.
I'm getting stuck on my rolling chair here. I actually don't even know. So this is my problem is I see recommendations and I go, yeah, I'll try that. And I start books without reading what they're about. But do you want me to read what this one's about?
Sure, read what that one's about.
I shall.
I say
Something about that new book smell. What's that?
ugh, but sometimes the old books smell. I was just looking at his list of other books. They must, I'm guessing, he reminds me similar to like Mitch Albom.
Holiday Hooby Wuddy.
You haven't heard of that author? Mitch Albom, an American author. He wrote Tuesdays with Morrie.
Doesn't ring a bell.
Oh, The Five People You Meet in Heaven.
No, I don't know that one. Am I
One
hurting
More
you?
Day. Okay.
No.
They're same concept where they're quick little books. They're like philosophical books. They make you think. They're deeper. Yeah, so he reminds along those same lines.
Okay, let's read. What looks like magic is simply a part of life we don't understand yet. When retired math teacher Grace Winters is left a rundown house in a Mediterranean island by a long-lost friend, curiosity gets the better of her. She arrives in Ibiza with a one-way ticket, no guidebook, and no plan. Ooh, Ibiza. Among the rugged hills and golden beaches of the island, Grace searches for answers about her friend's life and how it ended. What she uncovers is stranger than she could have dreamed. But to dive into this impossible truth, Grace must first come to terms with her past. Filled with wonder and wild adventure, this is a story of hope and life-changing power of a new beginning.
An
That's a
uplifting
thinker.
thought provoker.
Yeah, but it's not, I mean, honestly, you could read this the first time and just be like, oh, that was a good book, and toss it away and, like, not think existentially about it. You know?
Yeah, but that's not fun.
Like you could just enjoy this book. Like, this.
You can.
This has possibility.
It does. It's a deeper beach read. It's a more serious beach read.
Yeah, but if you want something better, more to think about than just, like, another rom-com or whatever to throw away at the beach. You know?
Yeah.
What I call trash is readable trash.
Love trash. Love me some trash.
Hold on, I had one thing in my brain. Who I would love to play Mrs. Elm.
Mrs. Doubtfire.
No, Mrs. Elm. Is that just gonna be your go-to? Mrs. Doubtfire.
Are we
fantastic? Through the library shelves. Hello.
Hello.
No, now I can't think of her name, but she's Saving Mr. Banks, she's the one that, not Mary Poppins, but the ones that writes it. And then Professor Trelawney, Elizabeth.
Why am I drawing a blank? I can picture her.
Not Elizabeth Banks.
Trelawney. Emma Thompson.
Emma Thompson, thank you.
Oh, she would be good.
Right? She's like got that quirkiness a little bit, but then there's also like a softerness that you need for to be the library Yoda.
Yes. Right now I'm just looking at pictures of her of Trelawney, which has been really hard to picture. Like
that could work.
But I've been just because I looked. That's how I found her.
Yeah.
No, she would be really good. Who would be Noah?
Okay, just because immediately my brain goes to English because this is based in
England.
I immediately think of Daenerys from.
She's too lively though. Like
she's got the eyes though. She can eyebrow act like a motherfucker.
I know. She's so good.
Oh, you know who might be good then? Egret. Rose Leslie.
Oh yeah. I went to and I know they well maybe they still play female roles, but the one that played June.
Yep.
Ellen. I don't Page. Do they go by Ellen Page still or
no? Not Ellen. I think it's Elliot.
Elliot Page.
Oh, I could see. Yeah. Kind of a moodier, broodier.
Yeah, we're like why can't I not think of her name? Emilia Clarke. She's so
yeah,
she
bubbly.
can play she can play like the not darker characters, but the heavier characters, but she's just herself so like bubbly where
oh, you know what? Phil Collins' daughter. What's her name?
Oh, Lily Collins. I just picture her in Emily in Paris.
Oh god. So probably not that what you picture here.
No, but no, like I mean if she can do like
yeah. She's very versatile.
Versatile.
She's a chameleon.
Again, Emilia Clarke is too, because I think of her. I love her in Me Before You, and even the Christmas one that she does,
where the guy's a ghost.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
I did much better with the fan casting this time.
Yeah, we're doing better. What was I going to say? It's interesting because there's a lot of side characters, but yeah,
they're it's Miss Elm and her are the main ones, but then I guess you've got dad and brother, and then what's the friend? Because that was another one that kind of like Rav. That's right, Ravi.
Yeah.
Oh, and Izzy, the one that's in Australia. I kind of forgot about that life where she does go to Australia. That was an interesting.
Yeah. That was like barely dived into, and then it's interesting because she doesn't really mention Izzy much in the other lives. You know?
No. Her biggest concern throughout the lives are we don't.
Sorry.
Her biggest concern is mainly how her brother's doing.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of, I feel like there's a number of lives where as soon as she finds out like he's gone, like if he's passed in that life, she's.
Yeah. I think it's because she's formulated, in her root life, she doesn't have her parents anymore, and she's come to terms with that she can't change anything. Mm-hmm. But the second that, like when she's a rock star and she has everything and everything's glamorous, but then she realizes that, and almost one of her first questions is, where's Joe? Mm-hmm. And I think it's a point where she's realized, oh my gosh, like there's something, I'm not interested in a life that I can't repair or have this relationship.
Yeah.
Like that was kind of one that was no matter how unhappy or happy or anything that she was, it was
sweet. I mean, it just kind of shows that the relationships are what makes what life is built on. Which is then too interesting as they talk about, and I think I'd marked it and I can't remember where it's at now. They talk about like how scientifically we found that we really can't know more than 150 people. Like that is like the max of a social community group that humans are meant to have. And I can't remember why they bring that up.
Oh, because is that one of the
quantum superposition? Since I'm stuck on that one.
Is that the Hugo that brings that up, or is that her husband when he's going on? Like he knows random facts and it's hilarious.
He's so funny. No, that's the game. And she is nothing if not potential.
I'm gonna be 100% honest. I'm about to have a heat stroke.
Gotta disrobe.
I'm like, oh my god, are we done?
Yeah, we can be done.
My arms are sticking to the inside of that.
Thanks for listening to us.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to hit the like button. Follow us on Instagram. Put it in your file. All right, we hope you enjoy it. Enjoy Midnight Library. Just enjoy.
Enjoy
Until
life.
next time, Boozy.
Bibliophiles.
We out. Just the two of us. Hey, 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 hey. Look at me. I'm a polar bear. Polar bear. Polar bear. Polar bear. Right here. Right here. Right there. Polar bear. Polar bear.